Hi, welcome to Relax and Chat, episode 39. I've got a very special treat for you today. Uh, a rising star in the indie community, Saffron Asteria. Hi, Saffron, how you
Hello.
doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Awful busy, and as we go to the end of the year, even more busy. Uh,
Yes. Oh, I
you
feel
know,
you. I feel you.
I
Thank you
believe
so
we
much for
have
having
in
me on.
common I believe we have in common of having multiple titles. You're the
Yes,
CEO, you're the manager, you're the accountant, you're the planner, and we have all that to do to close the year pretty soon.
I know. I know. That's why I've closed everything down for the winter.
It's been a little while since we've been able to get this show going, and I've been so excited to chat with you. There's so much I'd love to know about you, but I know we don't have 11 hours for the show. I wish we did. Um, but we'll jump right into the questions we do have, and feel free to say whatever you like. I don't censor anything. I don't do hate speech, but I don't worry about that with you. So.
No, I'm pretty passive.
Well, your life, I think, would make a good book. From what I know, which I don't know everything, you're a young lady living in the UK, living probably a pleasant and relatively normal life, and then something got your attention and called you into the writing world. Can you recall what that something was and what your first steps into the writing world actually were?
Yeah, so I was actually interested in creative writing when I was a kid, like a little kid.
Mhm.
And I remember going to this workshop with this children's author, and I know in my childlike mind, I think it was Spike Milligan, and I don't know if that's actually true or if that was a fever dream, but I definitely did it. And I remember really enjoying this thing, but I always cared the most about telling the story, not the format that I told the story in.
Mhm.
So I've always loved telling stories, whether it's, sitting around a table with family or, just writing it down or making up stuff or whatever. And yeah, so the structure and the actual like literary side of things never really interested me that much. So I didn't pursue that journey for myself. So when I was around 16, I decided that I wanted to be a chef. So I dropped out of school, went to catering school, and then did that for many years. I then sort of during the pandemic, actually, the month before the pandemic kicked off, I decided I'm going to be a cab driver. So I promise this is going somewhere. So I started doing this job, and then the pandemic kicked off, and that made it really weird. It was a really weird job to do in the middle of England, well, actually, southeast of England, where there was nobody really needing a journey, but I was constantly needed to do, take doctors and nurses around, and I got to meet amazing people.
Mhm.
And then when everything opened back up again, because I don't know if you'll recall, but the lockdowns in England were really strict.
Yeah.
I couldn't see my now husband because of the travel bans for 18 months because of the lockdowns and the travel bans. So it was really strict. And when everyone was allowed to go back out again and go to the pubs and the clubs, they went feral. It's like everybody forgot how to be human. And so the whole experience was just this whirlwind of emotion and confusion and people just having absolutely no decorum. And there was one night where something happened to me and I didn't think I was going to make it home that night. And I kept thinking the what ifs, like what if that had happened? What if they stole my phone or what if they had stabbed me? Or it was just this really awful situation. And I remember as soon as I dropped off this particular set of customers that had basically made me terrified for a 45-minute journey, I thought, I don't know what I would have done if XYZ had have happened. So I was running through it over and over again in my head and trying to figure out you know, do I have my affairs in order? Like, do I want to keep doing this job? And because it was the first time something like that had ever happened to me. And it just made me think of the extremes to a point where I thought that would make such a fantastic story. And so I pondered that for about a year and a half. And then I moved away from the taxi driving and ended up in a training position for corporate world. I'm not going to say what it is, but this is the healthcare industry in England. So, one of my colleagues had written a book and self-published, and I'd never met anyone that had self-published a book before. So I decided that I would pick his brains a little bit because I thought, if you can do it, I can. Because he just came out with this book out of nowhere. He wrote it in 6 months and published it. And I thought this thing took years and years and years, and you had to be working on it for years, and it sounded so accessible that I really wanted to know more. And one of the pieces of advice that he gave me 3 years ago, I think now, maybe 2.5 years ago, is find your people before you finish your book. That was his key piece of advice because he wrote the book and then it was out there and he was trying to get people involved and interested and, in this person nobody knew. So I joined Twitter and I started learning about the traditional publishing route. And I was like, well, I guess that's the standard I need to work towards, without even really worrying about writing the thing. So I was already like skipping ahead years and years of work and going like, oh yeah, I want to get a publishing deal. I'm going to be famous, blah blah blah, all that sort of lame stuff. And then speaking to more people that were in the self-publishing space, I then realized, oh shit, there are indie writers out here, thousands of them, that are asking for a voice or asking people to just look at their work, and they're all just doing their own thing, and they're being their marketers, they're being their own social media managers, they're being the cover designers, they're editing, and they're doing everything themselves, and they're not getting enough credit. And so I wanted to be part of this community, and it all started because I nearly died, which is so ridiculous, but it just escalated so much. And then I was like, well, we'll probably go on to my projects and stuff, but that's what made me want to do like the website and the show because I just wanted to know more about these people. And as I'm like absorbing all this information and their experiences, it's really lighting this fire in my stomach to keep pushing forward to finish my book because we all go through periods of being like, oh, I don't want to work on this anymore, or this isn't very good. I don't think I should bother doing it. And then I speak to somebody that has like gotten through that thing, and it's just so inspirational. And I just love this community so much. I don't think I took a breath.
I think you
That's how
did
I got into
wonderful.
writing.
But you're right, the writing community, particularly the indie authors,
Mhm,
so very friendly and supportive.
mhm,
Uh, I've not had, I don't think I've had any seriously negative
mhm,
interaction on social media with a member of the indie community.
mhm.
I don't have a lot of tolerance for that. If I meet a mean person, it's like 3, 2, 1, you don't exist.
I'm
So
exactly the
that
same.
might be why I've not had a lot of problems. And
Just
it's
step
so
away.
funny.
It's not worth it.
It's so funny that I've referred to you as a kindred spirit in our entrepreneurial way of pursuing things. But it's kind of interesting. I'll share with you real quickly that when I was way younger, I
Mhm,
drove a city taxi cab for a few
mhm,
years, and then I bought my own taxi business. And I owned a company for a few years. And I met an old, much older driver, and he had a scar almost from ear to ear across his throat where someone had cut his throat. Because back in those days, it was all cash.
mhm,
Cab drivers were well known to carry cash. Not all of them, but I was one of the ones that also carried a 38.
mhm.
Well, I took it serious because in America, at least in the Midwest, if you were going to drive a taxi cab, you had two choices. You drove during the day, which meant you gathered large amounts of groceries into your trunk, took them to the person's house, went up 11 flights of stairs, and was handed a quarter as a tip.
Yep.
Or you drove at night, where you would introduce a businessman to a young lady, make $100, and move on to the next one. Well, I drove nights, but there
Yep.
was also a lot of risk at night.
Mhm.
And being a young lady, I don't know if you were armed or not. In England, I don't
Nope.
think you can be very much, can you? But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, it took a lot of courage for you to even do that job at all, because it is a nerve-wracking job at 2:30, 3 o'clock after bar rush.
Mhm.
You've got to make your money, you've got bills to pay, but the people that just got in your car, they can be very dangerous. And during my time, particularly as a city driver before I bought my business, Because when I got my own, I chose where I worked.
Hmm.
When you're a city driver, you drive wherever they tell you to drive.
Hmm.
And a friend of mine at the time went into one of the well-known bad neighborhoods. And while he didn't get hurt, this was shocking for every driver at the stand.
Hmm.
The story is that he was taking this fare into this very bad neighborhood, and the fare fired a gun in the back seat and blew his own brains out.
Oh God, that's awful.
But can you imagine being the driver? And
Yeah, no, thank you.
and it's definitely a job that the night you or the day, whichever, but when you lose your nerve.
Hmm.
For me, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night, and I had about $12 in my pocket.
Hmm.
And the thought crossed my mind that the next person that gets in this car could kill me.
Hmm.
I could die. I've got a family at home, you
Hmm.
know. And I knew I had enough experience by then. It was time to sell out of the business and just because, I wasn't going to sit in an office and send somebody else out to do what I was afraid to do, you
Hmm.
know. So I ended up selling out of the business and I never looked back. But there were like any business, there was good fun times, and then there was times it was not fun, right? There was
Hmm.
times it was not fun at all.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to ramble on, but I find it so
No,
interesting that we have so much in common,
I
know.
know it's funny, isn't
And
it?
yeah, it's wild to be halfway across, I don't know how many thousands of miles apart and still have so many similarities. There's a
Hmm.
fantastic writer in the UK, Steve Stark.
I
And
love Steve's work. He's fantastic.
yeah, and some of his past is similar to some of my past. And it's just
Hmm.
amazing in the writing community. You can be miles apart and still have so much in common, you
I
know.
know.
I find that so fascinating.
I know it's
Um,
wild, and it's something that I also, because I live in Texas now, it's something that I didn't want to keep doing here. So I was like, I need to be doing something else.
well, I'm going to move on to the next
Mhm.
question. And this one I think may be very interesting to the audience because I'm very interested to hear more about it.
Mhm.
Is your business, and like any business nowadays, and particularly any writer, you should have a home base, which for a
Mhm.
writer is their author site. For a business, it's your website, whatever your business may be. Idiosyncrasy. From what I've seen, it is multifaceted, like a spider web with a whole bunch of different things going on, much of which I don't even really know what it is. So I thought it would
Mhm.
be fun to ask you, as much as you're willing to share with the audience, what is idiosyncrasy? What is your business?
So Idiosyncrasy started as a place where I wanted to highlight and platform authors because, as I said before, I was seeing these people like screaming into the void, and I can't help but want to help people. And I thought I don't want to leave you on your own, so let me see you. I want to be the person that you go, this person saw me and they believed in me and they wanted to help me. And it escalated so quickly that it became this like absolute mess. If I'm being totally honest with myself, the website is a mess, present day. So today is, I don't know what day it is, Wednesday. So Wednesday, the 12th of November. It's okay if you want to cut that. I don't know if you have a behind the scenes rule about not saying when things are filmed, but it's 12th of November and I am closing the website down for maintenance. So initially, this was just going to be like profiles where it had people's pictures and a bio and where you could buy the books. And each week I would then spotlight an author for the front page, which then evolved into blog posts, largely as an experimental thing. I then thought, well, why don't I open up for guest blogs? So then I had guest blogs, and you've very kindly contributed to the guest blog as well. And then I thought, oh, why don't I have an events calendar with pitch events on it? So I did that. And I've got my Friends of Idiosyncrasy section, which is basically, in my mind, I was like, we can mutually help each other. And it just didn't come off because I was trying to do too many things at once. Admittedly, I was like, "Da, da, 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 da," and I dropped my balls. So my balls are all over the place. Um, so it's time for me to reel it back. So we're nearly a year with the website being open. It opened on January 1st, 2025, and it will be closed for the rest of 2025 and partially the beginning of 2026. I'm not
Mhm.
going to give a date that it's going to be open because I want it to be good. I don't want to give myself this unachievable goal because I'm still learning. I don't know how to build a website. So I'm learning how to build a website. So I know that you've previously said that things are very hard to find. I completely understand because they are. Because I was like, fuck it, let's just put all these things on there. And then I'll link it, and then people will just go to the link and it'll be fine. But it's not designed for people to have a fun journey clicking on things. It's hard to find an author to look at unless they're on the front page or you've clicked on a link directly. It's just not fit for purpose anymore. So all the information that's on the site is still going to remain there, but it's just going to be structured differently, and it's also going to be presented differently so that you actually know where to go to find the guest blogs, or to find a spotlighted author. So there are over 200 authors featured on the website at the moment. And I want to increase that, but I needed to stop. So I've done occasional ones for people um, since closing the submission form for features, but I wanted to slow it down so that I am not trying to, because I'm going to have to reformat every single page. So
Oh.
there are nearly 400 pages on the entire website that I have to reformat over the next couple of months, which is my fault. I just kept saying yes. And that was a poor choice. So it's going to become a hub for learning things about writing, learning things about books, learning things about these indie authors. And that's largely what the purpose of the website is. So its sister podcast, Booked, is where I interview the authors that are featured on the website. And what I want to do is lead more with the podcast. So people will get the opportunity to join the lives with us and to ask the authors questions and to interact with them and learn about their work. And then if they want to know more, then they can go to the website and, oh, look, there's a blog post from Rod Gilley. Let me have a little look at that. Let me learn something about that. So that's the journey that I want people to take in the future in the new year. So I'm having to pull down the website so that I can make sure that those things are achievable. There are lots of things that are going to be changing. So the layout will change, the general formatting will change so that it's more clear. I use too many capital letters everywhere, and the contrast between the writing and the background isn't particularly good. I use a lot of graphics instead of words, which is harmful to accessibility. So if people use a screen reader, then largely they won't pick up text within a graphic. So I want to change those things so that people can access those things. And I'm also going to be adding a store. So I'm moving into a retail space. I'm going to have merchandise opportunities there. And then a secret thing that I can't yet reveal, that I will reveal in the next couple of months, which will look to be a new opportunity for authors. And that's all I can say about that. But yeah, so the website is full of stuff. And now it's my job for me to get the gold pan out and figure out what needs to go, what needs to stay. How can I make this an actual useful thing? Because if it's just a copy and paste of what's on Amazon or just on their website, what's the point? There's no point. So I'm looking to enhance those features as well. And hopefully then add more resources like, if, for example, if RDG Books Press is looking for if they have an open call for authors to submit for an anthology or to submit for their books to be published, then I can have that listed as a directory. There are lots of things that I want to do, but I can't keep putting stuff on there if it's not working. So yeah, I have a clear vision. It just doesn't sound like it.
Well, actually, I will say first, I want to say this I really want to make a point of saying this. Don't think in terms of my fault. Don't
Mm,
think in terms of you made some kind of mistake. I've been an entrepreneur since about 20 years old, so a
mm,
very, very long time. I've owned 5 companies. I've
mm,
known at least 50 other entrepreneurs. Writers, very close to being, especially indie writers,
mm,
very similar to the entrepreneurs. Absolutely all of the above will always try to do way too many things.
mm,
Do this vast number. I want to do everything. I want to be on every social media site. I want to do everything. And we all do it. I've done it myself.
Hmm.
But the thing is, though, and it's a very standard rule of owning a business, running a business, take your skills to things you're best at,
Hmm.
focus on them, do few things extremely well instead of 100 things very poorly.
Hmm.
So you're doing the right thing by looking at your business, looking at your website, and saying, okay, what do I do that really works?
Hmm.
What's good? What's strong? What's maybe not so strong?
Hmm.
You're definitely headed down the right path. The only thing I heard that I didn't like is you kind of blame yourself. Don't do that. It's a learning experience. Every
Yeah.
entrepreneur
Hmm.
learns because you don't choose to be an entrepreneur, in my opinion. It's already in you. You
Hmm.
have that in you before you get out of high school. You
Hmm.
know, you see everybody punching time clocks and pull a lever, push a button, pull a lever, push a button for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And you say, no.
I totally agree. I'm not built for that. And I remember being a kid, and I mean a kid, tiny kid, and going, right, I'm going to save up all my pennies and I'm going to buy some stickers and some paper and I'm going to make something. People are going to love it. And I've always had that mentality, like, what kind of business can I do? And I remember thinking at age 11, like, why aren't I allowed to have a job? Why can't I start a business at 11? This sucks. And this is the second business that I've owned, the first business in the US that I've owned.
Mhm.
The reason why I set it up as an LLC was just to protect myself because I still am not overly familiar with like copyright laws. And I thought, let's put a barrier in between me and the thing. Um, and it was always going to grow into something that was going to hopefully make an income for me, but not because I want to become this like wealthy person. It's because I want to feed that money back into the system that I'm creating.
Mhm.
And everything that I do and everything that I continue to do as a resource for authors will never cost them money. That is
Mhm.
my goal because nobody has any fucking money.
Uh-huh.
Nobody has money. If you have money, I'm so happy for you. I don't. Lots
Mhm.
of people watching this won't. And so I am in a very, very privileged position where I can take that as a thing that I can do.
Mhm.
It's cost me a hell of a lot of money to do this. I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours trying to learn, and I've got textbooks and piles of, how-to guides and I'm trying to be the best version of whatever this thing is that I'm creating, and it's still finding its identity. And a lot of this past year has been throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
Mhm.
And I've been doing things like newsletters, which fell flat because I couldn't keep up with doing it weekly. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do it monthly. And I kept forgetting to do it. And like social media is a pain in the ass because it's like, oh, you have to be on there every day to get engagement and you have to be genuine, but also not. And there are so many different rules. And I'm like, let me just do what I want. I've
Yeah.
tried doing monthly book recommendations. I've tried doing monthly news things. And I'm just finding that they're all so not good that why am I doing it? And it's not benefiting anyone. And I'm trying to get people to believe in me. But if I'm not succeeding, then should they keep believing in me? So now I'm identifying those things that actually really are having impact. The show.
Mhm.
Booked is having impact.
Mhm.
Every couple of shows, I'll have people in the chat saying, I just bought that book.
Yeah.
I'm seeing more direct impact from that communication, that community conversation and inclusion than I am just trying to get people to come look at the website. So yeah, it's hard to admit that the things that you're doing aren't working. And it's taken me probably about 3 months to pluck up the courage to go, website is down for maintenance. It's been really, really stressful for my emotions because I was like, does that make me seem like I'm shit or, that I don't know what I'm doing? And it kind of does. I don't know what I'm
Oh,
doing, but I'm
no, quite the
learning.
contrary. It shows that you do know what you're doing. Any strong
Mm,
CEO will evaluate his company, where it's been, where it
mm,
is, and where it's going.
mhm.
That shows you do know what you're doing. If you can't do that, you don't need to own a business, because you're going to fail. You're going to fail miserably if you can't
Yeah.
clearly see your past, your present, and your future. You've
Yeah.
got to be able to know where you're going. You've got to have what works, what doesn't work, what you can embellish, what you should drop. You got
Hmm.
to figure all that out. And you can't do that while you're actively doing the shows and the website and stuff. You need that time. Like
Yeah.
for me, mid-December through the first week of January, That's exactly what I'll be doing, as
Mhm.
well as all the accounting. I'm my own accountant because I've got 20 years plus experience as an accountant.
Mhm.
So I play with numbers, you know.
Handy.
But you're absolutely doing the right thing in stopping, reevaluating, you know, planning your course into the future. That's what a
Mhm.
CEO, that's why they get the big bucks. Because
Yeah.
if you don't do that, you're either going to fail or you're just going to stagnate. You
Mhm.
know, a lot of businesses just stop and they stay right there, and little by
Mhm.
little they disappear. You know, you've got to grow, you've got to expand, you've got to move forward,
Mhm.
especially in today's economy, to survive. So you're on the right
Absolutely.
track across the board.
Well,
You know,
thank you. I appreciate that.
I've got like 40 years experience that says you're on the right track.
I
So
appreciate that. Thank
I'm
you.
sure you know people that may know a lot more than I do, but my experience is worth something, and you should feel very good about your frame of mind and your way of approaching things because you're right on track, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I think that's something that I see, not that anyone asks, it's something that I see in people that are growing their social media as well, because unfortunately, that's very necessary.
Mhm.
That's how you get hold of people now. And I see people, just a piece of advice if you're watching this, if you're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, there is a definition for that. And you need to look at your what you're doing pragmatically and go, have I actually tried everything?
Mhm.
And have I tried it for long enough? Because there are things that are available that are free that can help you, like scheduling things and looking for blogs that tell you about what worked for certain people. And you also have to think about your audience as well. Like my audience is predominantly writers. That's not helpful. I'm trying to get book sales for writers. So my audience needs to become readers and writers read, but we can't all buy everybody's books.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's I'm fascinated to see where this goes because I have no idea.
That's also part of the excitement of doing it,
Hmm.
you know. Not
Absolutely,
knowing
yeah.
is actually part of the fun, you know.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned your video show booked.
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, it's usually a live show.
It is, yeah. Yeah, since I started season two, they've all been live, which has been fantastic because I don't have to edit them.
Well, it can be a plus and a minus.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, you never know what a guest may say. So I like being able to edit. For me, though,
Yeah.
it's more about my own chatter, 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 chatter. I need to cut that out for most every interview, you know? I am curious because I've thought of this myself, and I'm sure many in the audience would like to know. If I'm not mistaken, your show is booked well into 2026, but
It
how
is.
would an author go about applying to be a guest on your show?
Great question. So I am booked currently until July, I think now, 2026, which is nuts. Um, I will be arranging something with you after this, but that's a separate special case. So usually, um, the authors will book themselves in once they're featured on the website. That's how it's worked so far. In the future, I'm going to be increasing the frequency of the show to two shows a week from 2026, just because I want to try and get as many authors out there as possible. So I'm going to be doubling the availability, and the people that are booked really far in advance are going to get the opportunity to shift to an earlier slot. Because
Oh,
what I don't want to do is open it up again, and then have people that have to wait until July going, what the hell? There was a slot in January all of a sudden. So I'm going to be opening up to them. And then once everyone that's already featured on the website has had the opportunity to say yes or no, whether or not they'd like to have an interview, because it's not an obligation, um, then I will be able to open it up to more people and it will work sort of in reverse. So I'll accept submissions for being interviewed, and then I will work with that author to create a feature in conjunction with that.
oh,
So, as I said, there are over 200 authors on the website. I want to give everyone the opportunity to have a slot because not everybody has the opportunity to get on guest slots for things. Um, and yeah, and then it will open up in a different way. So, in a very, 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 very roundabout way, currently people can't apply to be on the show. but it's because I'm working through an immensely long wait list. So, I mean, and it's not even a particularly popular show, but I think authors just love the opportunity to be able to connect and to share their work with people. So, I don't care how many followers you have, I don't care how many books you have out, I don't care how what the genre is, I will literally interview anybody.
Mhm.
I generally speaking, and this is going to piss some people off, don't work with authors that use generative AI.
Yeah.
That was a choice I had to make early on, and we don't have to go into the details of it because it is a personal choice, and it's as much my choice as it is people's choice to use it. So if you use it, that's fine. That's up to you. If you want to do that, that's fine. I can't stop you. It's legal, whatever. I personally cannot bring myself to use it. I think really, 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 really early on in my exploration of writing and getting into this community, I tried an AI generator to try and create the creature for my book because I didn't have any knowledge about where do the images come from and what kind of environmental impact it has to use AI, generative AI. And since learning that, I decided I don't want to be involved with it, and then that's fine. So yeah, generally speaking, I don't work with people that use AI. But if, for example, I have friends who have written fantastic, incredible books that use AI on their cover, and I won't feature them on the website, but I will tell everybody that I love the book. So it sounds really convoluted and it's just hard to navigate. It's a really, really difficult thing to navigate, but that is basically the only thing that I'm kind of weird about. But I've interviewed Leslie Kurt, um, and his co-author C. Marie for what the hell's it called?
Concubine Dreams.
Thank you. I was like succubus something.
I was the
Yeah,
editor.
so
That's why I remember
yes, thank you.
that.
Yes, I've interviewed them both. So I'll do extreme horror, I'll do erotica, I'll interview romance authors. The majority of them are fantasy authors because there are so many of them.
Mhm.
So many fantasy authors, but genre doesn't bother me, and I try my best to read something from every person, which is proving to be hard.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, generally speaking, it's not a um you don't have to fulfill certain criteria in success to be able to be interviewed by me. It's literally just a very long line. That's it.
Yeah. And I can see why. I've seen some of the episodes of your show. There's only so many hours in a day, and I'm sure you can relate to this.
Yep.
You try so hard to prioritize all the tasks on your list. You try so hard to get down through that list. Every day, unexpected things come up that you have to deal with.
Yep.
It is so hard to find the time to do everything you want to do. It's almost impossible.
Hmm.
I do want to interject that I completely, wholeheartedly agree with you about the use of AI. Those who use it, fine. I won't
Hmm.
argue with you. I don't like to argue, period. But
Yep.
RDG Books Press and anything that Rod Gilley is involved in,
Hmm.
uh, no AI whatsoever, in no way, shape, or form. The biggest failure of AI is that AI doesn't have a human heart.
Hmm.
It's got the brain power just like the calculator had 30 years ago. Yeah, it can really do math really quickly.
Hmm.
But what makes a writer is their heart.
Hmm.
You know, if you're doing a technical manual on how you make a screw, I don't care, let AI write it.
Hmm.
But if you're going to try to write fiction or a worthwhile memoir, something that is meant to touch your audience, the readers,
Hmm.
you need to be a human being. The Tin Man will never accomplish that. I
Yeah.
don't care if Skylight comes, what was this? Skynet
Skynet.
comes
Yeah.
into being, which our militaries may bring that into being someday.
Hmm.
Well, it'll never understand the human heart.
Hmm.
Never. And, I'm sorry to go on for so long, but I wanted to make it clear to the audience, to anybody listening, I'm 100% with you, Saffron. The writing, doing covers, art, music, these are the creative arts.
Hmm.
Creativity comes from the mind and the heart of a human being, not an algorithm, not
Hmm.
a program. And I'm 100% with you. I won't do anything with AI.
Hmm.
Absolutely nothing.
it should be used for healthcare, but it's accessible to people to create AI versions of art.
Mm.
And if they want to use that, that's totally up to them. I hope they love it. I really do. But to me, I cannot in good conscience use it because it's
Yeah.
literally poisoning communities.
Yeah.
That's the thing that gets me, as well as the theft element. But I mean, it's not supposed to be a high and mighty opinion of mine. It's just a personal preference. And if you use it, that's up to you. That's fine.
Yeah. You can't really divulge every little thing, especially while you're in the process of creating them. But let's say through the end of 2026,
Mm-hmm.
and you've touched on it a little bit already. What kind of plans do you have for idiosyncrasy in regard to A, continuing to help the indie writer community as much as you do, a huge amount, more than many, but also, no matter what your financial situation, you run a business, you need to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's a well-known fact that in your first 3 years, you're likely to be in the red. In the fifth year, the end of the fifth year, you find out if you're going to close your doors or be successful. It
Mm-hmm.
takes time,
Mm-hmm.
but you should have a plan. Like, when I started RDG Books Press, I created a 10-year business plan because I know how long it takes to write a book, to edit a book, to do production, to get it in the market, and to get it out there to sell, and to hope that it makes some sales.
Mm-hmm.
And it's well known that the majority of books don't really sell very many copies. You know, so you have 50 books out there, you're hoping one or two hit well because most of them are going to lose. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's why so many small presses go out of business. You can't lose forever.
Mm-hmm.
Sooner or later, you need to make some money. And if you don't mind me saying so, idiosyncrasy is all about helping other people, but you
Mm-hmm.
got to take care of you too. So I hope you can find a way to make a few bucks along the way. Um, so anyway, what do you got planned from now to the end of 2026?
Well, I've touched on a few of the things before, so if it sounds repetitive, I'm sorry. I wanted to be able to create a stream of income through this without it negatively impacting the people I'm trying to help. So
Mhm.
you'll have businesses that will start off and they'll go, "We're going to be free. We'll always be free, except you can't access this thing now. So you've got to give us money if you want to access the thing." That's not where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So rest assured. Um, I will be opening a shop, a store on the website, which I hope will start to generate income. So I'm going to have the standard things like t-shirts and bookmarks and uh my brain's gone blank, obviously. Now you've asked me, like posters and all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm hoping that down the line, like way, way down the line, I'll be able to help authors and writers create merchandise to sell through the website, because that's something that I have access to. Um, many people will probably know I married a printer, the man that prints, not a machine. Um, and because of that, I have access to be able to do some cool things. So that's what I'm going to tap into. It'd be silly for me not to. And obviously, in the future, when I finally finish my work with my debut novel, especially, I plan on being fully indie with the whole thing. So I already have my cover artist who's currently working on something. I already have my editors lined up. Um, I've picked out all the paper I'm going to use and I'm going to be printing it myself. So I'm going to be printing and distributing my own books in the future. But that's a personal thing.
Mhm.
Um, the thing that I can't talk about, I'm not going to talk about, but there will be an additional thing that I can't talk about yet. But I will be doing a live with the person that I'll be working with to explain what the thing is and to show what the thing is. So that's one thing. So yeah, I'm hoping that that will create an income stream. And as tacky as it sounds, I'm truly, truly hoping that by putting in the additional work and doing extra episodes with the show, that I can hopefully increase my viewership on YouTube and potentially get like a small trickling stream of income through that as well. I realize that that's kind of like the way to go because it is. It's not guaranteed. I don't know if I'm likable enough. I don't know if people want to consume what I'm doing, but we'll see. And so I'm going to put in some effort to do that as well. Ultimately, my sort of long-term plan for this is to provide an alternative to the big dogs, um, for a few different things that I am going to reveal slowly across the year, because as I've said, I've got this tendency to like want to do all the things, but I need to make sure that each stage of it is going to work. So I'm going to slow it down and do one thing, see if that works. Okay, that works, keep doing that thing. Okay, another thing, see if that works, and so on and so forth. So yeah, when the website opens back up again, I'll be selling various things. I'll also be selling notebooks as well that I'll be printing and binding myself. So yeah, that's kind of it. I'm hoping that people like them, and if they don't, then it's fine. I may as well try it, because I know people have previously asked how they can support me, and it's kind of difficult to be like, just give me money, that will help, because who wants to do that? But if I'm like, hey, I've got a thing you might like in exchange for the money, then people might be more inclined to feel like they're getting something for contributing in any way. But if you're watching this, the best thing you can do is like, share, subscribe. Same with this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe to Rod's channel, comment. Comments are really, really helpful. So if you want to help people and it's not in a monetary way, like, share, subscribe every single time. That is the most helpful thing you can do. Do that if you're watching. Okay.
Well, it's well known that it takes time to get there.
Yeah,
But when you get monetized with YouTube, YouTube actually will pay you pretty well.
yeah.
And that can certainly be a source of income.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be straight up and honest. And audience, comment in the comments. Let Saffron know that you agree with this. It's important. Saffron, you're incredibly charming. You've got an amazing sense of humor. And yes, stay on YouTube because it will grow. And
Thanks.
I believe you'll be incredibly successful. I
Thank you. I
really,
appreciate
really
that.
believe so. I'm going to move on to the last segment I had in mind tonight, and that is, aside from being one of the biggest friend, helper to the indie writing community and a rising star in that community, you're also a writer.
I am in the
And
background.
I'll let you tell the audience what you've published so far. And I'm very curious about your work in progress. So if you don't mind, maybe share a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So currently published, into just dipping my toe into sharing my work with people by telling, I think they were first person point of view, um, sort of stories about my time as a cab driver. So it takes the reader into the back of the car, and I'm sat at the front of the car and I'm driving you along and taking you on the journey and telling you about customers. So I did have a bunch of them lined up, and then life happened. So I have a few more written, but I think there are maybe five that are published out there. They are on the website, which you can't access at the moment. So don't look for it because you won't find it. So that's what I've published so far. My debut novel is titled Blackout. It is a sci-fi thriller. The opening scene is almost exactly what happened to me on that fateful day where I didn't think I was going to make it home when I was driving cabs.
Oh.
And it escalates from there. So there are sci-fi elements, so there's a little bit of technology, but it's like urban sci-fi. So it's not set in space. It's set in a Kentish town in England. And it's me in a book, basically. There are extraordinary things that happen to the main character. The people that are featured in the book are people I know. They are characters that I've met in my life, and I wanted to, I don't know, do something immersive. It's multiple POV in first person, which I've been told is a poor choice. But I don't care because that's the kind of book I like to read. So I thought, oh, I'll write it like that. It started off as a third person, and I got about, I don't know, it's like 20 or 30,000 words into it, and I thought, that's not right. I can't convey the level of stress in third person. That's not my bag. So I'm hoping that it was a good choice because I had to rewrite the entire thing. But it's like, I'd say in terms of the first draft, it's probably 4/5 of the way done. It's so nearly there.
Oh.
So I'm hoping that the first draft will be done by the end of the year, and then early next year it will go out to a couple of alpha readers just to see like what's the feel of it. Like, is it awful? Um, take some of their notes. It's then going to go through an editing process, going to give it to betas, editing process again, and then when I know that it's basically done, I'll then do a cover reveal. And I've asked a couple of people to interview me on my show, um, to help me do the cover reveal, because I'm really, really excited. I haven't seen the final version yet. I'm very nervous. I've trusted somebody with my horrible creature that I have in my book that's going to be on the front cover. It's going to be really scary. It's going to have some start that again. You don't have to cut that out if you want. That's just the thing I do. There are some horror elements to the book.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of it's graphic. There's a lot of cussing. Um, because that's what I do. That's how I talk. Every other word that I say is usually a cuss word. But I've behaved myself a little bit today. It's very British. I've had a couple of people read some excerpts from it and they go, bloody hell, that's very British. And that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Something that I saw in Steve Stark's book, A Hot Dose of Hell. It's that kind of British.
Yeah.
So I'm not copying you, Steve. I just really like your book.
Uh-huh.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, and I'm also I have the outline of an additional book, but I refuse to start it until I finish Blackout at least, because I have to finish it. That's like my goal. So
Mhm.
my other book that I am partially working on but trying to ignore is a thriller set in the 80s, called Boys Will Be Boys.
Ah.
It's about injustices. It's very graphic, very violent, horrible, disgusting, horrible book. That's the goal anyway. But yeah, I mean I love horror. I love extreme horror. But I'm not quite ready to go into the extreme horror space yet. I think I'm probably gonna have a pen name for that because the book because I've got short stories outlined. Um, and I just can't bring myself to show anyone because they're really, really, really awful. Not
Oh.
awful as in quality, awful as in like, oh God, I might be sick. Because I have that in me. I have to express it somehow. So I'm still not ready for people to read that, but I think that you might see some potential under a pen name. Another pen name. This is a pen name. I'll have my extreme horror pen name eventually. Um, yeah.
Well, that's right up my alley. So anytime you like, you can drop a couple of those short stories my way. I'll give them a read and share my feedback with you.
Yeah,
Uh,
I will. Thank
be
you.
happy to do that. I write horror and fantasy.
Hmm.
Really, that's kind of where I go.
Hmm.
Primarily horror. I love horror stories.
Hmm.
And it's funny though, because you said you're writing basically a sci-fi. One of the
Hmm.
things I love about sci-fi is it can encompass all the other genres.
Hmm.
Most sci-fi stories I've read and loved had a little bit of all of that in it. There
Hmm.
was some romance, there was some horror, there was a little bit of everything in it.
Hmm.
And I love that. The writer that inspired me to really get serious and start writing was T.S. Hoddle.
Hmm.
And he's a very serious sci-fi writer. He's got, I don't know, 30 plus books out. I
Bloody hell.
mean, he writes a lot of sci-fi.
Hmm.
And he's true to the real writer. He's a writer. He's not an AI program user, you know? And so, I mean, he's worked to
Hmm.
build his career. And, but it was really funny though, because, I shook his hand, I met him, I held his book in my hand, and that inspired me to sit down and start writing the first paragraph for my first novel, you
Oh,
know?
that's cool.
Uh, so I love sci-fi. I haven't actually ever tried to really write sci-fi. One
Hmm.
thing that makes me nervous in that category is they say a lot of sci-fi readers and writers, they're kind of sticklers on the details of, like, say, the mechanical workings of the ship.
Hmm.
I don't know anything about how a ship runs. So I would be entirely picking it out of thin air, and I'm sure it wouldn't fit the mold,
Yeah. I
But I
don't think
do
mine's going to
understand.
fit the mold.
I'm sorry.
I don't think mine's going to fit the mold, truthfully. I've called it sci-fi because there are a couple of elements of
Uh-huh.
sci-fi, like there's the creatures in the book and some technology in the book. It's largely a thriller,
Oh.
um, and just absolute mind fuck, I think.
Well, you can't go wrong with that. That'll always be loved by the reading audience. Even in a rom-com, if you got a little occasional mindfuck, they're going to love it.
Exactly. Well, that's what I love in a book anyway.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'll tell you what, though, I do want to mention real quickly, I'm a strong believer in give your story what it needs.
Mm.
And I'll keep it as short as I can, but I do want to comment on the subject of first person, third person,
Mhm.
second person.
Mhm.
I don't really dig second person reading
Mhm.
or writing. I'm not really into that much. I write both first and third person stories.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, mostly, I think that it's the storyline itself that'll tell you which way it would best be told.
Yeah.
The key thing is once you've made the decision to write in first person.
Mhm.
Now, there's experts out there. I'm not an expert of anything, but there's experts out there that will definitely argue with this opinion.
Mhm.
But I believe when you're writing first person, the most common problem that I see in manuscripts is the tense.
Mhm.
It'll jump back and forth between present and past tense. It'll be a really hard read because of that.
Mhm.
So when you're writing first person, get the idea of what you think would best present your story,
Mhm.
present tense or past tense. And then, like everything else in writing, I'm sorry, I'm adjusting the program that's popping
You're
up
fine.
and everything. But once you've decided to write first person, choose present tense or past tense and be as
Yes.
consistent as you can throughout your story.
Mhm.
Because I often comment that any story in any genre is sort of like the ocean with a whole bunch of waves. The scenes are the waves, the
Mhm.
book as a whole is the ocean, and it needs to flow. I don't care what genre you're writing in, your story needs to flow smoothly that the reader doesn't have to struggle to read it. The
Yeah.
reader, most readers are not going to struggle.
Mhm.
That's why skipping editing, not having a good editor is such a mistake because you can only read so much gibberish, misspelled words, poorly chosen words, sentences that are not complete or don't make sense, whole paragraphs that you wonder why that paragraph is there at all.
Mhm.
You're not going to read very far and you're going to be like, phew, I'm exhausted. I'm done with this book. It's
Yeah.
quality is always better than quantity.
Mm.
And
That's
never,
why I don't want to like
never rush
release
your
date
work.
or anything
Yeah.
until I know that it's basically finished.
Yeah.
And I want more than one editor to look at it because different points of view. But I
Mhm.
totally agree with you with the past and present tense because I know that mine is a mixture because I rewrote it from third to first. I just rushed through it and just changed a few
Oh.
things. So at the moment, it's an absolute shit show uh, of mixed tenses and it's such a mess. It needs so much work, but I'm like, I need to get the rest of the story out there, and this is
Yeah.
this
Write
next
your
point,
story.
yeah,
Yeah.
that I
Write
just need
your
to flush
story.
out.
That's what editing is for.
Hmm.
That's why editors exist. The
Yes.
writer's job is to write their story, let their creativity flow, get the story on the paper. An
Hmm.
editor can't do anything with a blank page. You
Yep.
know, get your story out there. Don't worry about it. Like a lot of people say, you should edit as you go. Go back and edit that paragraph or that scene and then move on to the next one. That's two different sides of your mind. Editing is over here with accounting and other
Mm.
types of thought processes. Writing is in your creative mind,
Hmm.
completely different thing. And of course, the experts will argue with me. Write your story. Let your story flow out of you onto the page.
Hmm.
Your editor can help you straighten it out later. That doesn't mean write garbage. It means do the best you can, but don't fret about it. Don't give yourself writer's block because you tied yourself up in a knot.
Hmm.
Write your story, edit it later, you know? And then Saffron, the best advice I can possibly give you, rush equals mess every time without exception.
Hmm.
Don't set a deadline and then go crazy trying to meet it. You know, I'll set a deadline for the end of this year and I'll actually publish mid 2027. I
Hmm.
don't care. The book's going to come out when it comes out. What
Yeah.
matters is, am I going to produce a quality, excellent story that people will love? That's my
Hmm.
goal.
Yeah.
When it comes out doesn't matter.
Hmm.
It's going to come out. I actually met a writer one time from writing the first paragraph to published out in the market. took 25 years. If
Wow.
that man can stay committed for 25 years, I can stay committed for a year. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
who cares how much time it takes? That's why that's one of the reasons I don't like AI. Hurry up and get it done. Publish a whole novel in 3 days. Bullshit. Publish a bunch of garbage in 3 days. It takes time to do this job. Take your time, focus, do your thing, don't rush, and above all else, love what you're doing.
Well, this is
You
it.
know, because the love for your writing is going to show. Your readers are going to know if you were enjoying it or not enjoying it because they're feeling what you're feeling. It
Mhm.
ain't about the words. The words don't matter. When you think about the last book you read, when you walked away from that book and you went into the next room, were you thinking about the actual words or the sentence structure, or were you carrying the emotions that that story brought out in you?
Mhm.
What was with you a half an hour later, 2 days later, after you closed the book?
Oh, it's always emotion.
Yeah.
If I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it anyway. If I haven't enjoyed it, I think if I don't enjoy the plot of a book, I'm more likely to be more picky about how it's
Mhm.
structured. Whereas if I love the characters and I love the situations that they're in, then I can absolutely overlook grammatical issues and
Uh-huh.
structural issues for sure. Mm.
I pulled a whole novel that was already set published.
Mhm.
I pulled the entire novel in order to fix one letter. And you're the one that pointed out that letter.
Was it? Oh me? Oh, I'm not going to say I'm sorry because it's the literary equivalent of people having broccoli in their teeth and not telling them.
Yeah, yeah,
You have to
we
tell
want to do
people
the best we
in a
can
kind
do.
way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And really every writer, I think every real writer, we want to make it the very best that it can be.
Mhm.
And one of the things you do among the long list of, there's a whole checklist of things you should be doing as a writer.
Mm.
And, but one of them is, don't be offended. Don't be hurt when somebody gives you a 3-star review and points out some issues.
Mhm.
That's how you learn. You learn from those. A 3-star review says it's a good book. You can tell the
Mhm.
author made the effort. It just happened to have some issues.
Mhm.
That's not a negative review. And learn from that. Because if all you ever got was 5 stars and praise, you don't learn from that. You don't learn from praise. You learn
Mhm.
from honesty. Somebody saying, hey, maybe you could tweak this or do that a little better. That's how
Mhm.
you learn, you know?
Mhm.
So, like I said earlier, when we were talking on a completely different subject, you are so on the right path. Just keep
Thank
doing what you're doing because you're rocking. You're doing fantastic. I don't think there's a single person on social media that could say, I don't like that Saffron girl. No, there's not a single
you.
person that
I'm
would say
sure
that.
there are some. I'm
Not
sure
that
there
I
are.
not that I've ever encountered. And there's good reason for it. I've said it several times, and it's absolutely true. You're a completely charming person. You've got a wonderful personality. Ask your husband, he'll tell you. You
Oh, he really would.
know.
Yeah. He's a big fan.
I want to say real quick, if you will, I do put this across my platform and on YouTube. You can see the description. I'll have links in there. But if you don't mind, maybe share your website, your social media contacts
Mhm.
verbally so that if someone wants to pop on and say hi, Saffron, they'll have the
Mhm.
means of doing so.
Of course, yeah. So I have two Twitter accounts. I will always call it Twitter. So the idiosyncrasy one is at Indiosync Books. So it's like idiosyncrasy, but with an N after the I.
Mhm.
And my author account is at Saffron Asteria. It's the same as you can probably see here,
Mhm.
but with no space. I'm also on Instagram. I think it's also at Indiosync Books. Um, the website's down at the moment, so if you're watching this around the time that it comes out, then that'll come up eventually, but that's www.indiosyncrasy.com.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of what else I'm on. I think those are the only things I care about enough.
Mhm.
Um, there is an Idiosyncrasy Discord channel if anybody's interested, so feel free to hit me up on social media and I'll send you the link if you want to join. That's not just for featured authors, it's just for people that want to connect with each other. And I also have another show, it's called Strangers in Fiction, that I co-host with my friend Sora Sullivan, and we talk about the books that we love and our writing, and that comes out every other week on Mondays at
Mhm.
3 o'clock-ish, depending on whether or not I am struggling to get it uploaded.
I rarely have the
Um,
time, but I did catch one of those shows, and Uh, she's cute as a button, isn't she?
I love Tori. She's fantastic. She's so clever as well. I love
Oh,
her.
yes, she is. Yeah, and you can tell she's very intelligent and knows her stuff. So
Very, very, very much.
you've got a great partner in that show, and
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that
so.
will grow as well. That's going to continue to grow.
Fingers
Uh,
crossed.
very awesome. I've got to say, what an absolute joy to have this time to get to sit down and chat with you. I've been looking forward to it so much because we're both so busy. We hardly have the time to say, "Hi, how
No.
you doing?" Oops, gotta go. You know.
Oh, no. Tell me about it. It's just non-stop all the time.
Yeah, it's so nice to have this opportunity to chat with you. I am so incredibly grateful that you took the time to come on the show. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and thank you for having me on your show. And as soon as this goes out, I'll share. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Rod's channel. Do it now.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Saffron Asteria. And when her website's ready to go and all renewed and she's ready to unveil it, well, pretty much everybody on social media will be sharing it and promoting it. We all love her and we're all going to help her in every way we can. So just get on Twitter, Instagram, any of the sites, and you'll see it. And you'll be very excited to see her website all new. I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting and fun. Oh, it's going to be so great. Oh, the charm of using free programs. Inevitably, you're going to have some glitches.
Yes.
Well, at least it was at the end of the interview, right?
Yeah.
But I do want to reiterate that, Saffron, what an absolute pleasure to speak with you. I'm sure the audience had loved every syllable of every word you've said. You're so awesome.
Well, thank
And
you.
you're so great, they even tolerate me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Relax and Chat, episode 39. I hope you'll join me for the next show, and I hope that you'll follow Saffron on all the social medias. You will never be disappointed with anything she does. She's an amazing person.
Well, thank
So I guess after that little glitch, I should stop chattering and let it go. But I
you.
do once more, I do want to say thank you, Saffron.
And thank you again. I appreciate you having me on.
Everybody have a great night.